So I'm going to talk about the role of the physiotherapist first of all. So main role really to do a full assessment and put together an individual treatment programme for your specific needs. So we're going to help you to hopefully improve your mobility, so particularly focusing on spinal movement, your muscle strength and general fitness, but also trying to reduce your pain and helping you to lead an active and independent life. Talking about different types of activities and exercises to help achieve your goals, and then thinking about your posture. So this might include things like workstation, is your computer the right height, is your chair the right height, driving position, things like that, as well as your sort of standing and sitting posture, and monitoring to make sure that things carry on the way we want them to go. And then helping you to self-manage, so lots of education about lots of topics and things that you can do to sort of minimise the effect that it has on you and your life. So how can physical activity help? Well, most people tell us that their pain and stiffness are better when they're active, when they're moving around, and generally being still isn't a good thing. So we're aiming to sort of improve your flexibility and strength. We know if you've got better flexibility, it makes it easier to do day-to-day things, gives you more energy, and obviously being stronger helps with that as well. Improving your posture, your mood, energy and quality of life. The more active you are, the better you tend to sleep. Also, if you've generally done a little bit of gentle stretches or just moving around a little bit at the end of the day, it's better than sitting on the sofa for a couple of hours and then going to bed already stiff. So that can be helpful. And reducing cardiovascular disease and helping with bone density as well. So splitting it into these different categories. So we mostly focus on sort of stretches for muscles, so preventing muscles getting stiff and tight. Mobility exercises, particularly focusing on spinal movement. So teaching you exercises and movements for your neck, upper back and lower back, hip joints, to try and maximise the amount of movement that you've got. Strengthening, so mostly focusing on core muscles, so your abdominals, your glutes, your spinal muscles, to make sure they're as strong as possible. Cardiovascular fitness, so exercise that encourages you to take slightly deeper breaths, get a little bit shorter breath, make sure your heart and lungs are again working as well as they can for you. And then lastly, balance. So the stiffer you are, the less flexible, your balance can be affected. Posture as well can affect your balance. So that's another thing worth considering doing. It's easy to do when the kettle goes on. You can do a few balance exercises, but ultimately to prevent falls and things like that. Just mentioning about hydrotherapy. So we're lucky enough at the Nuffield to have a hydro pool, but exercise in water generally is really beneficial. Obviously, it's usually a little bit colder than 33 to 34 degrees, but which does make it more pleasant, helps with the pain if you've got tight muscles to relax and things. But exercise in normal pools is also very beneficial. Water supports your body weight. There's movements you can do in water that you can't do on land, so that can be really helpful. And also, depending on what position you're in, what floats you're using, you can use the water to act as resistance to strengthen muscles and help with things like balance and stuff as well. It's not for everyone. There are a few contraindications, but if it's suitable for you, that can be quite a helpful thing. It's also not impact, so I'll talk about that in a minute. So I just wanted to mention sort of fatigue, which is often a really sort of troublesome symptom. It's a difficult one to describe to other people. They can't see it, but it can be overwhelming and can be a real, difficult thing. Pacing is difficult to do, but it can help. So just a few little pointers there. Prioritising tasks that are important and urgent first, breaking them down into smaller steps. Can you do them at a different time when you've got a bit more energy, or can somebody else? Can you delegate? Does it really need doing? All things to think about there. And also flares. So just a few things to think about, as that's another thing that can happen with the condition, that you have periods where it flares up a little bit. But thinking ahead, have you spoken to your GP or doctor? Can you adjust your pain medications for when you have a flare? make sure you've got enough medication, especially if you're travelling. And then it's useful to keep moving, but gently. So you might find more high-impact activities aren't very comfortable when you're having a flare, but gentle stretches or things like swimming and cycling can be more comfortable. And things that make you feel better. So heat often helps. Any form of heat, hot water bottle, wheat bag, hot bath, gentle stretches, or even ice can help with that as well. So physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for yourself, but nobody's pretending it's easy to fit it in. So these are just a few things that might make it a little bit easier. If you enjoy it and it fits your day, your week, you're more likely to do it. So find things that you find enjoyable or you don't hate, if that's pushing it too far. Use other people to help you. Go to groups, go to classes, exercising with friends. Anything that you find helpful. So NASS is the National Axial Spondyloarthritis Society. So really useful source of information online. So that's their website. They've got an Oxford group. So all around the country there are local groups. So we're lucky enough to have a group here on a Tuesday evening. So we do exercise classes or hydro classes on alternate weeks. So they're done in groups, doing all sort of different types of things every week, depending on who's running it. They've got lots of resources online. There's lots of videos on YouTube for every eventuality, any kind of exercise you fancy doing. There's information on there, lots of booklets that you can download or they'll send to you. And they've got an app, which I'll mention again in a moment. But, again, do what works for you. So joining classes can work for some people. Home exercise programs. So if you've seen a physio or you've put together some exercises and stretches that work. But fitting them in as well. So doing a few neck exercises or thinking about your posture when you're sitting at your desk can be helpful. I mentioned at the bottom HIIT. So that's high intensity interval training. So that can be useful if you struggle with time and fitting exercise in. So that's generally sort of short bursts of activity with rests in between, can easily be adapted to doing standing or sitting, and that can be a way to, there's quite a lot of evidence that can, particularly cardiovascular fitness, that can work well for. And then lastly, just wanted to finish again talking about NASS. So that's the app over there on the side. So there's lots of different exercises on there and information on how to do them, little moving pictures on how to do the right thing. They've got lots and lots of booklets, as I say, paper copies or to download. But I particularly wanted to mention these two things. So Your Space, which is a more education-focused thing that NASS are doing now, so you can sign up and it's, you get sort of other people joining in and you get sort of support that way. And then also My AS, My Life, which is this here. So they do, there's lots of live talks on Facebook, so there's a couple coming up. So there's on tomorrow, in fact, diet and inflammation. And then on the 29th, there's hypermobility and axial spa. But there's constantly different things coming up on there, so not everybody's aware of that. It's sometimes a little bit difficult to find on the website, but My AS, My Life, and Your Spa are useful things there. So hopefully, quick whiz through what physio can offer, but hopefully there's a few things there that might be of interest. Thank you.